Hi there, I'm Jen, this is Remembered Reads, and this is going to be the Bookish Boxes and Buzzwords tag. This tag was created by Elizabeth from Lizzie Fay Loves Books, and I was tagged by Elizabeth from Lizzie Fay Loves Books, and I will link to her original video below. I believe she was inspired to make this tag based on one of Liz Schubert's videos, so I will find that and link that below as well. The theme is what draws you to the books that you buy and or read. Question number 1 is your go-to genre or favorite type of book. I don't necessarily have a single go-to genre or type of book, but I do enjoy books that are centered around either the First World War or the immigrant experience. And I will read almost any genre or type of book with those themes, be it fiction, nonfiction, poetry, prose, sequential art, comics, what have you, histories, memoirs, biographies. I don't care. For a long time I thought that I didn't like mysteries, and then I realized that if I read mysteries with settings that I enjoyed, like First World War settings, I do read a lot of mysteries. I don't have a go-to genre, I just have that go-to theme. Question number 2 is retellings you are drawn to. I am not a super huge fan of retellings most of the time. I know there's a Pride and Prejudice retelling that's set in Scarborough, the name of which is escaping me now, but I'll write it down here if I remember, which I do intend to read, but I wouldn't normally read something that was a Pride and Prejudice retelling. So yeah, I don't know, I don't really have a preference that way. Question number 3 is lifestyles or careers of the book characters that you're drawn to. Well, I read a lot of military memoirs, so there you go. So I guess that would be one. Question number 4 are places and settings that you were drawn to. Well, as I said with the retellings one, I do enjoy books that are set in Toronto, and especially if they're in Scarborough. I also tend to go out of my way to pick up books that are set in North London and that are set in Istanbul if the people do a lot of walking, especially. So those are all places that I'm drawn to if I'm on the fence about something that will convince me, especially Scarborough these days. Question number 5 is relationships that you enjoy reading about. I enjoy reading about teammate relationships. Some of the memoirs that I've read this year that I've really enjoyed have been by sports figures, hockey players, cyclists. One of my favorite manga series is about wheelchair basketball. I really like the dynamic of people playing sports together. And I suppose at a certain level that kind of dynamic is pretty similar when you're reading a lot of military-themed stuff as well. So yes, teammates, I guess, is the relationship I like to read about best. 6, buzzwords in the title of the book. Well, similarly to question 1, one thing that always draws me to a book is when it quotes a bit of Wilfred Owen's poetry in the title. There are any number of books that we're talking fiction and nonfiction, all kinds of themes, all kinds of subgenres, that take lines from his war poetry, and you're almost guaranteed that this is going to be a First World War story. So I do tend to pick those up and flip them over and see what they're about. Question number 7, things on book covers that draw you in. Okay, it's going to be a cliche if I come up with another First World War line, although again, that era of helmets on a cover will make me pick it up. But I'm going to say something else, and I'm going to say, when I walk through the fantasy and science fiction section, I like seeing covers like this one that make it clear that this is a flintlock fantasy and not a medieval fantasy, because I appreciate seeing that kind of more modern setting in fantasy novels. And this is a series that I picked up because I saw the cover of one of them and went, that could be interesting. And indeed, it is interesting, so there we go. Question number 8 is nonfiction buzzwords. Types of nonfiction you are drawn to. Well, I'm really drawn to whatever nonfiction deals with whatever interest I happen to have at the moment. So I've been reading a lot of self-help books about decluttering lately, for example, and I think last November I was reading a lot of books about neuroscience because I was on kind of a kick for that. But really, I think I'd answered the nonfiction question already at number 1, so we could go with that too. Question number 9 is medical or physical conditions of characters. Well, again, it depends what kind of kick I'm on, because when I was on that neuroscience kick, I was also interested in reading about people with neurological disorders and brain injuries. But in a general way, I do enjoy thinking about portrayals of disability in fiction, especially when it comes to amputees and spinal cord injuries. So, yeah. And especially in genre fiction. That's kind of a pet topic that I'm always interested in. Question number 10. Time of year, time in history, or future that you're drawn to? I said in the comments on Elizabeth's video that I think my answer is going to be the First World War for almost everything. And I think that has been my answer for 3/4. But yes, that is my favorite period in history to read about. Although I do also enjoy the Napoleonic era. I will read about just about anything, so it's hard to even say. Yeah. We've got bonus questions too. Let's see how our bonus questions are. Wait, no. Let's see what our bonus questions are. Bonus number 1. Any other bookish boxes or buzzwords not already mentioned? Well, I think I'm drawn to certain awards, not necessarily the big ones, but I always like looking at what won the Toronto Book Award. If something mentions that it was up for that, I will take a look at that. When we're looking at new genre fiction, I will sometimes be attracted to a blurb by a particular author, or sometimes avoid it if there's a blurb by a particular author, which I think is not particularly fair because that's advertising more than anything else. But bonus number 2, what bookish boxes or buzzwords turn you away from a book? Anything that really emphasizes romance tends to turn me away. I mean, I do sometimes read stories with romantic obviously many books have romantic plots, and I do occasionally read actual romance novels, but that tends to be a turnoff, so there has to be some other selling feature other than that. If that's the entire emphasis, I run the other direction in general. Okay, so that was the last question. It's an interesting bunch of questions, especially if you're not me and you have multiple different answers for some of them. So that was it. I really liked the theme of that one. So thanks to Elizabeth for creating this tag and for tagging me. This was a really interesting set of questions. I am going to tag the last group of people that I interacted with, so I'm going to go look it up and then I will insert them in here. And also, if you want to do this tag and you're watching and haven't done this, consider yourself tagged. That's it for now. Ciao.